Okay, so what's the display like? Is it better? Is it
Yeah, this is very fine.
oh okay. Okay, so I guess it was the former connection I was on, so apologies for that. Um so I was saying this is another environment. The nuances of Power BI desktop and the components that make up Power BI itself. Um You'll be learning all of that in the class, but this is a different tool. Again, to go back and recap on how we got here, we got we got data from an Excel workbook. So choose Excel, navigate to your data source. Again, your data source can be anything. It can be an SQL server, it can be a website, it can be Twitter if you have a business that you run personally, it can be an ERP application, it can be a CRM application, the likes of your Odoo, your Dynamics 365, your Salesforce. You can connect to basically anything using Power BI. You can connect to data.gov. You can connect to Kaggle if you're trying to build your personal portfolio of projects. You can connect to National Bureau of Statistics if you have something to do with maybe demography or economic indices. So almost anything that you can think of, you can connect to. And if you don't have out of the box connectors for your data source, you can build custom connectors, and these things are very, very easy to do. You can basically connect to any kind of data source basically. So the one we're going to be working with is one of the popular data sources um that we have, which is an Excel workbook. I'm sure we're all familiar with Excel CSVs basically, and like I said, we pick we pick what we want to bring into Power Query by selecting this, and usually we don't load. So one of the things we teach is best practices. So even though you're almost 100% sure that your data is clean, you always have to take it to Power Query to check. Although there's a caveat again where we talk about storage modes, import mode, direct query modes, the times that you can't actually see data because you're just connecting straight to the source and you're doing something called direct query, or you're building composite models. All of that we're going to explain in when you come in for the program. So obviously I click on transform data. Transform data takes me to a tool that works with Power BI, but it is not Power BI. So people usually mistake this tool for Power BI, but it is just a tool that lives within Power BI. And it is not only within Power BI that you can see this tool. The tool is called Power Query. Inside of Power Query, you have different tools that we use for transformation. So Power Query is just one of the tools that work with Power BI. It works with Excel. It works with Power Apps. It's in some other Microsoft products. So you don't only find Power Query in Excel. You find it in other Microsoft products. Something we call data flow. Something we call Power Apps. Power Query lives in all of those tools, but it's still the same engine. And what Power Query is used for is something we call ETL, extract, transform, and load. So it helps you in getting data and cleaning, what we call cleaning. So cleaning is basically the non-technical word for transformation. So you want to split a cell, you want to split a column into multiple columns based on some logic. You want to fill null values or blanks. You want to remove some kind of text. You want to put something in uppercase. You want to cast columns to their right data types. All of those things, all of those workflows are called transformation. So that's the T part of the ETL. The E is the extract. The transform is when you start cleaning, what we call data cleaning. You start preparing your data for use. Basically, you're preparing it in a way that it can be modeled, then you can now go ahead to analyze. So bringing in this orders table. So these orders basically, if we just do a quick perusal of this table, you see that it has basically it contains information about sales. So this is a data set that speaks to e-commerce. the likes of your Walmart, your Tesco, your Amazon, your Jumia, your Konga, Alibaba, AliExpress. So something like that. So this is just a fictitious data set that tries to mimic an e-commerce company that has footprints in multiple places in the United States. Yeah. So immediately I bring in my data, the next thing I have to do as a BI developer is try to see the transformations that needs to be done. So the first thing that's obvious to me looking at this data is the fact that one, it is one thing we call EBT, one big table. One big table means both your facts and your dimensions are inside this one giant table, which is usually not best practice. I mean, we can bring in this data into Power BI like this and try to build visualization and build your dashboard and all, but this is not, we're going to be teaching you best practices, basically telling you, oh, there are some nuances that you should always take care of. Because you can get away with it in a training environment does not mean that in the real world you get away with bringing in one giant table into Power BI without properly building what we call a star schema or a dimensional model. So usually when you get this kind of data, the next thing you have to do is you're already thinking of how to build out your model. You want to build out your data model from this. So I'm going to first promote the first row, this first row that I have here, where I have other ID, other data, and all of that. I'm going to promote it as my header. So there's a tool that already does that can do that for us in Power Query. So that's called use first row as header. So if I click on this command, then it records this step that I just did for me, which it has promoted what I had when I was here. This first row, it has promoted it to the header. So that's, and it has recorded the step. So there's this pane we call applied steps pane, which is basically from the name, is it's showing you all the steps that you've ever done. So it's something like, for those of us that are familiar with the concept of VBAs and macros in Excel. So it's like a macro recorder. So anything you do, it records it and logs it on this apply steps pane, basically. So you don't have the concept of Control Z inside of Power Query, say, oh, you've done something and you want to go back to something you've done. You can't do that with a Control Z, our regular undo that we do on other Microsoft applications. What you can do here is, say I've done this transformation that promoted my first row as headers, and maybe I did it mistakenly and I want to go back. So what you can do is delete that step. So you just come to the apply steps and you take it off, then you're back to the shape of the data how it was before you did that transformation. So I'm just going to use first row as headers, then I keep looking again what other transformations I need to do. So what the usual flow is, before you even delve into the technical bits, there's some familiarity with business context that you have to create. So even though this is a fictitious data set, while we are handholding you and helping you build your first set of projects using Power BI, we're going to still be telling you best practices, in that you don't just delve into modeling of what we call physical modeling, physical data modeling. In the real world, you sit with stakeholders, people that are actually, or your report consumers, or you think as if you are them and try to gather a requirement. You gather a requirement. So business reports, the kind of metrics you want to display is from now that you have to start thinking of the end goal, and that will determine even the way your transformation will go, the way you're going to group your tables into, this is my dimension table and this is my fact table and all of those things. So the next thing I'm going to do, like I said, normally we're supposed to have like a rough work, like when we're prototyping, you're going to build something we call a logical data model. So it's with logical data models or conceptual data models that we now implement the physical thing. But let's just try to quickly do something here. So in this in this um in this data set, I'm just going to change this data type. So immediately I'm seeing ABC123, it tells me that this Power Query does not understand which data type. So Power Query is waiting for me to put these columns in the right data types, basically. So a quick way to do that is to click on one of the columns, do Control A, and go to transform and detect data type. Immediately I click on detect data type, one thing you can observe is that I have a new step here called change type. So, and if I look at the equivalent formula, this language is called the M language. So it's called the Power Query M language, or the M language, or you can call it mashup language. But if you're a 21st century Power BI developer, then you're expected to know what M is. You can script M and you can write DAX. We're still going to come to what DAX is, and how we leverage DAX in developing reports and all of that. But for now, we're inside of Power Query, and the formula language that we're going to be talking about is the M language. So for every transformation that you do using the GUI, that's the graphic user interface, all these buttons and these commands that you are clicking, there's an equivalent M script that Power Query will automatically generate for you. And this change type step has generated this one. So what we usually teach is immediately you do something that is automated or semi-automated, you have to just quickly or manually still validate what Power Query has done for you. So we're checking if the data types are in the right format. So when you're working with data generally, and this transcends Power BI in itself, so you're going to still learn this in SQL, where you're casting columns to a particular data type, because maybe the way the pipeline is serving the column is not in the right data type. So you want to move from decimal to integers, or you want to move from integer to money or something like that, to variable char, or so you're going to learn, yeah. So you're going to learn all of these concepts. So these are all the various types of data types that are valid within the domain of Power Query. So it has put all the columns, all these fields. I mean, you can call them columns, you can call them fields, you can call them attributes, depending on the kind of professional that you are. I mean, data analysts will usually say columns or they say fields, but scientists will usually say attributes, but I mean, they all mean the same thing. Then, so other date is in date data type, ship date is in date data type. So it's usually valid, but you just have to check. So when you say BC, it means text. When you say postal code is in whole number. That's why you have this 123. So there's usually a debate about maybe you should keep this in text or you should keep it in whole number. All those nuances are the things that we're going to show you, the pros and cons of deciding what to keep it in, because some people will say, since it's a column that you can't add two postal codes together to give you something that is meaningful. So we always keep it in text. But there are better ways to undo it. I can just say, oh, I'm going to leave it in um whole number, and I'm going to do something else when we get to Power BI that will not make it aggregate the column, because it's more efficient to keep it in whole numbers. I mean, those are concepts and many more that you're going to learn when you come inside. But um and a very good this is actually nice. So Power Query has actually put everything in the right format. So again, we're going to quickly model this and create something we call fact and dimension. So I'm going to create like maybe a dim product table. So my dim product table is just going to be a dimension table. The concept of dimension and fact tables are one of the pillars of business intelligence. So your fact tables that log events, basically transactional tables. They're usually the largest in an organization. So something like a sales is a common type of fact table in an e-commerce um industry. If you're in an education space, something like attendance, maybe class attendance is will be a fact table, because it's logging is logging an event. So a class was attended by a student, taught by a lecturer at a particular department on a particular day at a particular time, something like that. So that's what we call fact tables. What describes the fact tables or what give fact tables more context is what we call dimension tables. So we're going to delve deeper into this concept, fact tables, the different ways you model fact tables, the kind of fact tables that you have, accumulating fact tables, snapshots, all sorts of fact tables, breed tables, factless fact tables, and the same for dimension tables, and when to use all sorts of techniques as again, what we call the modern Power BI developer or the 21st century Power BI developer here. So from this one big table, we're going to try to dimensionalize or try to build out what we call the star schema. The star schema is just your fact table surrounded by your dimension tables or connected to dimension tables through what we usually call a one-to-many relationship. So we're trying to, Power BI loves a kind of schema that we call star schema or dimensional schema, or what we call a dimensional model, or what we call a Kimber model. I mean, different names. These are concepts that you're going to learn, and we're going to get you to appreciate the fact that Power BI is not just a visualization tool as you see online, and most people will just reduce it to a tool that you're just dragging and dropping and you're just seeing charts. There's a whole lot that goes into it. If you want to be earning the 80,000 pounds, the 100,000. So you obviously know that all you're doing is not just creating a line chart and a donut chart and a pie chart. You actually have to do some work. So my table was created as a reference. I created it from a reference from this other table, which is the DIM product, and it's just going to contain attributes or columns that are supposed to be products, a logical set of columns that belong to the product table. So how do I do that? I'm just going to, while this is selected, I'm going to choose all the columns I feel should belong to the products table. Again, depending on the kind of data set that is available to you or that you're working with, in enterprise or in the real world, these tables will you have them already upstream, you have them somewhere in the database, and maybe the DBA will just tell you, oh, we have a products table and SKU table or whatever they want to call it, and you just connect to that table. So all you're just going to do is, again, the regular way, get data from, say, maybe SQL Server, and you're just going to connect to that instance of what is it called, SQL Server. Try to pick those tables directly, because you don't need to model it out of big one big table, basically. So yeah, this is what I mean. This is me not connecting to Excel. This is me connecting to an instance of a model that lives in SQL Server on my machine, on my laptop, and you can see product table, you can see date table, you can see customer table. So depending on the data source that you're connecting to, the workflow changes. So all these nuances you're going to learn in the classroom. So for now, this first step is where I'm referencing the source, which is basically this other query. And this second one is where we're choosing the columns that we want on this our new table, which is product ID, product category, subcategory, and the name. So the concept of primary keys, foreign keys, which column is a good candidate for my primary key on my dimension table, what is the foreign key on my fact tables, what do I call jump dimensions, what do I call the generic dimensions, all of those things we're going to put in more context when you come in. So, but for now, since products and the concept of granularity, the grain of this table should be product name. It means that product name should be the lowest grain that I can do analysis on. So I will declare product name as the lowest grain. And how do I declare that? I'm going to remove duplicates on product name. So if I remove duplicates on my product name, I can now be sure that, okay, now product name is my primary key or something we call the unique identifier. So I'm going to have product name, and you can see 1000 distinct, 1000 unique. Distinct is actually different from unique. So people always use them interchangeably, especially when we come from an Excel background, but they are different. Unique is a subset of distinct. So it shows me 1000 distinct and 1000 unique, but this is actually not even the whole data set. This is just based on the top 1000. I mean, there are things that Power BI um does that you just for optimization purposes. So it's when you are loading that it now loads the entire data. But say I want to see the entire data, not based on the top 1000. So if I come here to just switch this from based on top 1000 rows and I change it to entire data set, then I can see that I actually have 1850 records or rows on this table. So this is fine now. I have my what is it called, product name as the grain, and I can say, oh, maybe I want to create a product key, just a product key for sure, because maybe somebody or Scenario Academy taught me that, oh, it's better to always use integers as your primary keys, basically. So created these keys which are unique, in a unique way identify each record. Okay, so I'm going to do almost the same thing for other guys. So I'm going to reference the other table again, call this maybe customers, and try to just select only logical attributes that should belong to the customer table. So customer ID, customer name, segment, and I do okay. Again, segment is debatable, and that's where the part where we teach you all the nuances and all the subjectivity of data modeling comes into play. Because some people might say, oh, why are you keeping segments on customer table? Segment should have its own table on its own. And the answer is it depends. So there are things you check for that will determine, oh, should segment be um should segment be on the customer table, or should it be on should I keep it as a dimension of its own, and I will have the segment and it will have a key and things like that. There are considerations. So all of those things are things that they are not cast on stones, but all those nuances you need to know. Something like a price. People will argue, oh, price should be an attribute of the product table. Some other people will say, oh, it should be on the fact table. Again, it depends. So there are different scenarios where you keep them on fact table. There are different scenarios where you keep them on the product table, and there are scenarios where you keep them on both. So all of these things, it depends on the kind of analysis you're doing and the most efficient way to get things done. So I have this again. I'm going to just remove duplicates on this table, because this is a dimension table. So the dimension table we usually have one, we have a key that will in a unique way identify one record. Except you're moving to maybe advanced concepts where you're talking about slowly changing dimensions, SCDs and what those things are, SCDs type 1, type 2, all of those things. And as a Power BI developer, what you should know about all of those concepts. At this level, at this demo level, it's safe to say this customer table is fine. It's good to go. It's good to go as is. But you can say, oh, you want to add a key again. So I go to add column, add an index column, and say it's from one, and call it maybe customer key. And I move ahead again to create some other tables. Say maybe sales rep. Say this is a fictitious company that uses both we sell organically and we use sales reps to sell at the same time. So how do you, if you're faced with this kind of situation in the real world, how do you handle this kind of things? So again, own, choose columns. Again, there are concepts of functions, parameters that come into play here that immediately you start doing things, it's looking like you're doing manual work. That's a candidate for automation. That's a candidate for automation. So you should free up yourself to automate repetitive tasks. So there are tools that we use to do that, um, both in Power Query, in Power BI itself, that extend the solution, and some things that you can do to actually automate the boring task or the repetitive task as they were. So I'm just going to remove duplicate on sales rep, and you can see that actually I have 14 sales reps as against the numerous count of sales reps that we had before. And I can just, each sales rep has a team. So sales rep will roll up to a team, and so many teams will roll up to, can or may not roll up to managers. So again, we're going to give this a key. Can call it sales rep key. So Power Query is case sensitive. So key with a small letter K is different from key with a capital letter K. That's so when you're writing, those are things that you would put into consideration. Maybe let's see which other. Let me see if I have a question. Let's see if I have a question. Yeah. Yes, better makes sense. Okay, come. No question yet. So okay, so let's look at our raw table again to see, okay, so there's something called location, and which is valid because obviously our business operates in different territories. So of course, maybe different cities or different states, it can even be different countries. So you work for a multinational or you're looking to interview with a multinational and they are testing you on how you handle their data in the data warehouse or how you build a model from their operations. So these are the kind of technical questions they are going to ask you. Okay, so how do you handle a multi-location business? How do you model that out? So we're going to create a dim location or a location table or a territory table, or some people call it geography. Some people can have both. Again, it depends. All these things, data modeling in itself is an art and is a science. I mean, there are lots of concepts that you need to learn when you're modeling. So what people usually do, or what you actually see online on LinkedIn everywhere, is people will just consume a YouTube video of 8 hours or 10 hours and just do as I do, and immediately they publish their dashboard to maybe a LinkedIn to say, I just finished this. Because you cannot see the back end, you cannot see their data models, you cannot see if they've took this as it were, in that all you see is just a nice report with colors or nice dashboard with slicers. So you can't really go into the background, the backend that fits that report, because they are just posting the end product on LinkedIn. So you don't know if they followed best practices, and usually most of those people, I mean, not calling names now, is when they now start maybe interviewing for roles and they now see that the real world is slightly different, even though they've gone to some kind of training school or some kind of training, but it's different because they have just consumed maybe an Udemy course or a YouTube video and they've just done a do as I do, and they don't really know the foundation, the building pillars, or when you switch up a concept on them or the scenarios change, then they are stuck. So you should not learn things that way. That's not the best way to learn something. So again, for location, it's just going to be things that deal with location. Actually, I can even ignore this location ID because city is my lowest grain. I'm going to remove duplicates on city. I'm going to add an extra column to say this is, again, either I directly edit the M script to change this index to location key, or I can add an extra step to say location key. This will create a new step. But if I don't want to create a new step, I can actually just come here straight, because when you're building out your pipeline, your transformations, and you're trying to tell it the logic, um, at an enterprise level, just take enterprise level for real world. When data becomes real, when your data sources are getting more complex, when the volume, you're not now dealing with 10,000 rows or 100,000 rows of data, you're dealing with millions of rows of data, then what will differentiate developer A, Power BI developer A from B will be your knowledge of best practices. How do you handle data at scale? Because at that level, it's not only volume that you even have to deal with. It's not as if, oh, in class, we worked with 100,000 rows of data, or all my portfolio that we built. I was working with 50,000 rows, 70,000 rows of data. And now I'm working with 1 million. That's one of the issues you're going to face. But the second issue is even velocity. So the rate at which data will come to you in the real world is different from how it comes to you in a training environment. So if you don't have if you don't have a sense of the big picture, then you just get to the real world and it's just like, so what did I learn? So these are things, and it's from all your transformations that you're going to take these things into consideration. So you don't want to overload Power Query. There are concepts you call query folding and some other concepts that when you're dealing with big data, those concepts of incremental refresh and all of those things, you need to keep them in mind. So when you're building out your Power BI solution. So for now, I think we're fine. I think all we need to do now is maybe just create something we call our our sales table or our fact table, which is going to be sales table. Again, this is just going to be one of the, because this is a demo, it's just going to be a very simple use case or a very simple walkthrough of what Power BI can do. So in the real world, you have data sets or you have data models with multiple fact tables. How do you handle that? Multiple fact tables, multiple dimension tables. You have something we call brick tables. So how do you handle all of those things? Rules as, oh, you don't connect one fact table to another fact table. What you do is you build a shared dimension, you build a conform dimension. What do those things mean? What do those things mean? So this this again is taking a reference from this our raw data. So I can actually, okay, so this is we're trying to build a sales table. So all I'm just going to do is come to my home tab, use a tool called merge queries. So I'm going to merge my fact sales table. Basically, merge is just think of your merge as join. Again, when you come in, you're going to learn SQL, you're going to learn some other tools. So inside of Power BI, there's a concept that we call merge. Merge operations and append operations, they are different. So they all fall under an umbrella called combine operations. So there are different ways you combine queries or you combine data. You can do a merge, which is basically the equivalent of joining. So you join this fact sales table to my team customer table on maybe say customer ID. So I join on customer ID and I can see the join kind. And if you're familiar with SQL, you can see all this left after join, right after join, your full join, your cross join, your inner join, left hand T, right hand T, which is just basically saying join this to this where this is null. You're coming from the right where this is null, or you're saying inner, just what you have on both, or you're saying cross. Just give me the different combinations based on these two columns or these two tables or these two attributes that I've specified. So that concept holds true in Power BI again, and the kind of join that you depends on what you're trying to achieve. So, but usually people just pick this first one and go ahead. Again, there's something we call fuzzy matching that you need to take care of or know. Again, so when I have this, you can see that join my sales table to the customer table in a bid to just get out my key, my customer key. So I'm just going to expand this by clicking this button, deselect everything, and just grab the key. It's only the key I need. I'm going to grab the key and do OK. So it just gives me a key. Oh, So some people will just be like, oh, but Samuel, how do I now get the name, the other attributes of the you're going to see it. You're going to see it again. There are different routes to the market, but in all your different routes, one thing you should take note of is best practice. Best practice. You should always try to see yourself as that global developer, even though maybe you're working for a Nigerian company, but always try to do something in the acceptable standard. So that's for customer key. Then I'm just going to merge this again with another query called maybe location. I made it with location and it's just going to be on the most granular location, that's city to city. Again, it's going to be a left join and I'm just going to pick out my location key. I don't need any of the other columns. I know how to access them because I'm just creating these keys I'm creating now on the fact table, they are foreign keys, but on the dimension tables, they are local to the dimension table. So they will be primary keys on the dimension table. Again, do basically the same thing for products. So at the lowest level is my product name. So my product name, then I'm going to just grab the key. I'm going to grab the key. Then again, I'm going to merge again to maybe say sales rep, map sales rep to sales rep, joins everything. It gives me, so immediately you merge, it gives you the table. It's just like the way we do VLOOKUP, something like that. So you can think of this in terms of VLOOKUP. So for the moment, he's doing something called like a VLOOKUP because it's returning all the columns of this table per row. That's what it's doing. So a way to preview, you can preview the content of this table, but how you do it is not by clicking this table. You have to click the empty space. So if you click the empty space here, you can have a sense of what this table contains for this line, for this record. So this is only what this table contains for this particular row. But we don't want this entire thing. So we're just going to script out and bring out only the key. So only the key. So that object of table goes away and it turns to our normal scalar values. So now I'm done. The interesting thing that you see here is the the most important table, actually, the most important dimension after your facts that you usually find in a data warehouse or in a data set is usually the date table, and we've not even built that out. We've not built that, and there are different ways to get the date table depending on one, your data source, what is available to you, your competence, the report requirements. So you can build a date table from Power Query. You can build a date table with DAX inside of Power BI. So, but your choice of where you want to build out your date table, just know the pros and the cons and the considerations basically. So that's what will determine where to build it out. If you have something like maybe holidays, you want to take into account your analysis has something to do with maybe holidays and it's dynamic. Maybe you're fetching holidays from a website, maybe Nigeria has a website, Ministry of Interior, where you can just plug to the website and dynamically pick holidays, and you want to analyze your sales over weekends and weekdays and holidays and Christmas days and all of those things, and you want it to all be dynamic, then you can't do that. Well, you can do it in DAX, but it's easier to do in Power Query, or maybe it's even HR. HR has an Excel workbook that they maintain and they determine which day is an holiday, which day is not an holiday, and so you connect to that Excel workbook and import it to your Power Query, and you can script out your text table considering whatever HR is maintaining. So whenever they update that thing, it updates in your model, and your model you can analyze by weekends, by weekday, depending on what HR is setting from their end. So but so that we don't do all of the workload in Power Query, we're going to build out our date table in using that. So I'm going to show us just a simple date table, how to quickly build it out, how to fleshing it out, and all of that. So the next thing I'm just going to do It just choose my final columns that is going with me when I do close and apply. So close and apply means you're loading. That's the L part of your ETL. Again, the concept of you finished, you've learned Power BI. How do you even properly even highlight your skills on your resume or your CV? Again, while it's in parallel, we're going to your sessions is going to be hands-on, and we're still going to be teaching you how to properly highlight what you've learned or what you're learning. It's not just by saying proficient in Power BI and proficient in Excel and you fired. No, that's not. You want your potential employer or your interviewers to be excited to even schedule a meeting with you. So, and is the way you highlight your skill sets. That's it. It matters. It goes a long way. So those are one of the things that you're still going to be learning. Oh, doing ETL operations with Power Query, this, instead of just writing the whole generic. So there are ways to highlight all these skills so that I know that, oh, okay, this person actually is a Power BI developer, or I can bring them in and just onboard them as it was. So I'm going to choose my final columns. Order ID is going to come with me, order date is going to come with me, maybe ship mode is going to come. I'm going to pick all my keys, all my foreign keys. I'm going to pick the facts, which is sales quantity, discount, and profit. Facts are like the numeric the measurements of a particular table or a particular event, basically the measurement. So that's what we call facts. So I actually don't need this. I already have customer care, so I don't need customer ID, customer name. I don't need segment. I don't need all these other guys because I have the foreign keys, and with the foreign keys, I can access the base tables and I can access the columns in those other tables, and that's how it usually is in the real world. You see a fact table, we don't keep junk on the fact table. So you see a fact table, we just usually integers, just foreign keys, bunch of foreign keys that connect that fact table to other dimension tables. And if you're going to see extra fields on the fact tables, there will just be something we call DDs, degenerate dimensions, or yeah, basically degenerate dimensions, which is another concept on its own. So we've been able to dimensionalize this one big table into 5 tables, actually, which is actually best practice. So that if I give you a task like this as an interview, as somebody that has gone through Scenario Academy, you've gone through the Power BI program, and now you're talking to employers, or you're even setting up independent consulting, you know how to work from one big table. If you see a scenario where you have one big table, you know how to work from one big table into something we call a star schema. So you have this concept. Now this is our raw table, so it's not, this table will not follow us to Power BI. When we close and load, we are not going to take this table with us to Power BI, because it's something that follows something we call the medallion approach of building stuff. So you have your raw table, you have your staging table, then you have your final table that will move to you, that will move with you to production. So just think of this as our raw table. So it's not going to go with us. You can do something like this. You can even group it to say maybe raw, or you can call it source. You can call it source, create a folder and drop it here. So when you drop it in, you disable load. So when you disable load, it means that this table, when you load it, won't follow you to Power BI. So you can quickly create another one called data model. Create data model, create dimensions, create facts. So create your themes, create your facts. You do this because, again, you can be working with large data sets. I mean, we'll teach you all of this. You can be working with large data sets, and you can work with 20 tables, 30 tables in the real world. And how do you arrange your query so that someone else can pick it up and understand what you've done? Or even you yourself, when you visit that model again, you understand what you have done. So I can pick all these other guys, put them in my dim table. So put the dim in the data model, put the facts too in the data model. So both my dim and my facts will go to the data model, and I'm fine. So I can load this straight. to Power BI. So while I'm loading to Power BI, you can see so many things are happening. It will detect table schema. It runs it twice. I mean, some technicalities, but it's looking at the source and grabbing the entire data. It's grabbing the entire data and it will bring that to Power BI. Again, I just prefix all these tables with dim and facts. Usually in real world settings, you won't see dim and you won't see fact. You're just going to, or maybe in the data warehouse here, you might see dim and fact. But if you're working with something we call an OLTP system, you're not going to see dim and fact. It is you that will know that, oh, this is a dimension table and this is a fact table. So you have all these data sets, all these tables actually loaded. And if you look at our model, you see that without actually building a manual model, without trying to drag anything to anything, Power BI has actually built a star schema for us. And I can, for the last one that I didn't put, I can just connect this. And I have a nice star schema ready for, I mean, I can fleshing it out to build, I can start building my reports. So although there are things to take into consideration, but I can take maybe profits, I can take profits, drag it to my canvas, and I take maybe region, drop it on it, and in less than 1 minute, what is 1 minute? In less than 5 seconds, I actually have sales by I have profits by region. I have profit by region. I can put state under, put state under, put city under state, and it looks this way. So currently it's showing by region, and I can drill further down. So if I want to go to the next to see by state, I'm just going to click on this drill down button, and I can drill further down to say for each region, I want to see by state. And I can even still drill further down to see by city. And I can drop all this on a map to even plot it on a map and see, oh, what is what and all of that. So the next thing for me to do here would be to just, we don't have a date table, and like date table is one of the most important dimension tables that you have, that or that you should have. So data will enable you analyze to see trends. Basically, you want to see something month on month, year on year. We want to see how something is responding to seasonality changes. That is what we call the intelligence. Because as a business intelligence developer, what you're just doing is you're enabling your organization see better. You're enabling them see insights using the data that you guys have from operations, basically. So to create a date table, we're just going to do new table. So we're going to use DAX. We're going to use DAX stand for data analytics expression. And we're just going to say maybe my okay. So I'm just going to build a calendar table to say maybe dim calendar or dim date, because I mean there are different ways to build this, but I can use something called calendar auto. Just do enter. It's going to quickly create a date for me, create a one column table for me, and I can see it here. And it's going to be date time format. I change it to a date format. I change to a date data type. I change the format to something that is not showing me the long thing. And from here I can connect. From here I can connect my date table to the to my facts table, basically. Again, let me see if I have questions. I'll be rounding up in say 5 minutes. Let's see. Okay, one question. So again, so yeah, take my date and drop it on maybe ship date. Yes, some people can say, but we have other dates and everything. Yes, there's a way to handle that concept of role-playing dimensions and all of that to come into play when you have multiple dates. So you'd be like, there are multiple dates, but you can only have something we call one active relationship. This is the relationship that we're talking about, and this is a one-to-many relationship. The this table is connected to this table through a many-to-one relationship, and this is the direction. You can have a single direction or a bi-directional relationship. But if I take this date and drop it on other dates, it's going to create another relationship for me. But you see the dotted line, it means it's inactive. There are ways to activate it when we are writing measures using reduced relationships and some other techniques. But we will not be looking at that now. So I have I have this table and it's only containing dates. So if I want to create new columns again using that, say I want to add year. So on this table, I'm just going to do new column, add year, say add year to it so that I'm able to see by year, add year to it, and call a function called year what? It's asking me for only one argument, which is the date. This means the date column on the DIN calendar table. So immediately I do enter, it gives me different years based on the date, 2017, 2014. And the same way we can add a new column called month or month name so that we can analyze our data by month name, and you have you use a function called month, you have dim calendar, dates, you format this to whatever, and you have this. Some other person can say, well, I want to see the full month, not just JNN, then you just add one more MN. If you so you can have quarter to add quarter to this same table to say quarter or quarter name, and quarter name you just again use format this guy, and you're going to use a type of format that looks something like this, and on you can achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. So now I can build something that says maybe a line chart. So I use a line chart visual. I take my months, I drop it on it. So I want to be on x-axis, and say maybe I want to see by quantity. So I take quantity and I have this, and it's looking funny because it's not sorting the right way. So if I come here to sort by month name, is either sorting Z to A, that's September to April, or if I come again and do this, I'm still going to face the same problem. Come again, sort. We're just going to be going round and round in circles. So a way to fix this, there are different ways to fix this. We create a column that we use to sort. So new column, I'm going to call that month number or month sort, whatever name. Then it's just going to be this function, and it's just going to be calling this column on this table. And I'm going to have something numeric, which is for January, it's going to be 1, for February 2, and all of that. Then I can tell Power BI, whenever I use this in my report, sort this by this month number. And how to do that is just, I'm going to click on this month name and sort by what? By month number. So immediately I come back to, to my report, you can see that my report has now changed. So I can build a slicer of this, change this to a slicer, change the settings. I mean, if you want headers, you don't want headers, or you want tile, you can have something like this that looks like this, and you can flip between. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Whatever you want to do is um currently whatever you're seeing is using this relationship that I highlighted here, which is the date to ship date. So if you really need to do calculation about the other dates, there's a way to turn on this inactive relationship using a function called use relationship when you're writing a measure. So that's basically what Power BI can do for you. You can, when you're done, and I mean all the things we've done today, you don't need to pay Microsoft one dime. But again, in class, we're going to go beyond this because you're going to learn what happens when you publish. How do you even publish with a free account? The account you can get that can still help you um leverage some paid services without paying. So you publish to the service. How do you implement things called row level security? You don't want this sales manager to see the report of this sales manager and all of those things. So there are ways to handle all of that. Things we call scheduled refresh. When you get new data, how do you handle it? How do you build your pipelines always run at 8 a.m. Monday morning so that people can get their reports and all of those things. So thank you, everyone. I hope it was an insightful one. So if you have questions, now would be the time to, or I'll be handing over back to the host. Thank you so much. Hello,
All right,
can
thank you,
anyone?
Samuel, for that.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, so are there questions? Are there things that
All right,
I
you can
don't
ask your
know.
questions if you have any question at this point.
Yeah, someone
All
is raising
right.
their hand. Yeah. Hey,
Yes,
Barrett.
please go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks a lot to our guest speaker. Thank you very much for the insight so far on Power BI. But my question is, or I would say, is a concern. Going through this session with you, it appeared to me that for someone who is not so grounded in Excel, it might be difficult to understand how to manipulate the Power BI tools to put out a good report. I don't know. Is it that Excel is a foundation for you to begin to use Power BI tools? Just to ask.
Okay, that's a very, very good question. Thank you so much, Barry, for that question. I mean, I'm going to try not to answer in a very political way, but when you come in, obviously you're even going to learn Excel. And in your Power BI class, there will be for concepts that tie back to Excel. We're going to just tell you how it ties back to Excel. But your knowledge, the interesting thing is your knowledge of Excel can actually either speed up or slow down your proficiency in Power BI. So your knowledge, your proficiency of Excel can, again, your proficiency of Excel, that means you're very good with Excel and you now pick up Power BI. Depending on how you are being handheld, how you are being trained on Power BI, it can, and your mindset, it can actually slow down because you can be stuck with some concept because you come from an Excel background. So sometimes it's even better for you not even for you not to even have Excel knowledge at all. Because yes, when I'm now showing you something, or for you not to be too much of an Excel guru, because when I'm now showing you something and you're like, but in Excel, this is how we do it. Yes, you are now in Power BI. You can't access a cell in Power BI. You have to access the column. We write column level logic. You can't write cell level logic as we do in Excel. So at that point, somebody that actually not so guru like you in Excel has an upper hand because they didn't even know how to do that in Excel in the first place. So they are learning it in Power BI and they're learning it the right way, the Power BI way. So another thing is a mindset. There's a way your Excel skills too can complement the knowledge of Power BI. So it's just basically how you are handled, but they have overlapping concepts where they differ and all of that. But the way we're going to train is just assume zero knowledge and we'll work from there from 0 to 100, basically.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Chidi, okay, you can ask your question.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My question is this. In the modeling, you talked about star schema. Can that be the only model that can be used in Power BI? Because I understand that there's another one called Snowflakes that's even more, how will I call it now? From the materials I read, they say that one is more powerful and more, when the numbers get much, that is even the one that's supposed to be used. So I want to know, in the training itself, is it just the star schema that we're going to be, handling, or will we also go into the snowflakes?
Okay, so thank you so much for your question. Your question too is actually very, very good quality question. So yes, there are different types of schemas actually in business intelligence. It's not just even Snowflake and star schema. There's something you call the galaxy schema or the constellation schema. So, but Power BI is a self-service business intelligence tool, and it works best with a star schema. So if you read Power BI documentations, you will see where the owners, I don't believe any blog or any article or any subject matter expert anywhere in the world will know better than the owners of the solution. The owners of the solution always advise developers to try and achieve star schema. They try, we always strive to achieve star schema. Needless to say, there are times or there are situations where you cannot achieve star schema because of your reporting requirements, not because of the volume of the data or the complexity. No, because of your reporting requirements. So snowflake schema is just saying the dimension schema is not, the dimension table is not directly connected to the fact table. So instead of connecting the dimension table straight to the fact table, you're connecting the dimension table to another dimension table that is now connected to a fact table. So you're building snowflake. Power BI does not love that. If at all you have it in your model, it should not be more than 1, 2. But if you've built a proper snowflake schema in Power BI, when your pipeline is about to refresh, you're going to have issues. Your measures, your DAX formulas are going to be less performant. They are going to take a longer time to run because you'll be transcending multiple tables to get to the fact table. So I want to do something by profit. I'll have to first go through, maybe you built a table called product subcategory. So I'll first go to the product subcategory to now navigate to the category table before you now get to the product table, before you now get to the fact table. So while you're doing that, the engine is screaming in the background, you're stressing it out. So it's different from a more efficient design where you have a fact table surrounded by a dimension tables, which is actually a star schema. So if you look it up, you can just Google Power BI loves a star schema. You see so many articles, so many blogs from Microsoft themselves saying you should always strive to achieve a star schema. So if at all you even have snowflake schema, it should be exception, not the norm. It should not be the norm. It should be exception. It should be maybe 1 or 2. And it should be a case where you've consulted all other designs and there's no way to run from it. You just have to connect a dimension to another dimension before you now get to the fact table. But just know that it will be less performant. So yeah, it's a wrong conception to say Snowflake is no. Snowflake is not Power BI friendly at all. And when you start to build when you start to work on big data sets, your knowledge of star schemas and everything will come into play because you need your refreshes to be completed in 5 minutes, in 4 minutes, in 2 minutes, as against 50 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. Yeah, go ahead. Someone else is raising their hand. Yeah. Thank you, Chijoke.
Thank you. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
okay, I wanted to just say, okay.
yeah, go ahead, please. Just go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, if you have questions or you're not clear,
Yes,
you can
I just wanted one other question to you. Sorry. In the course of the training, you talk about ETL. You mentioned it a lot.
Okay.
All right, and from some of the things I've also read, it is a very, very valid and highly pleased. What's it called now? Skill one has to acquire when you're going deeper into data analytics and all that. And there are so many tools, ETL tools that that is in the market. One should know, one should be able to use as well. So I'm asking, is the academy going to do something around an ETL in addition to already? Are they going to, like, understand there's one they call AWS, there's one they call Talent? Are there a way for us to also expose to some of these ETL tools?
Okay, so
Before we go into the main market.
Okay. I like the fact that you're curious. You're a curious learner. So that's very commendable. I think some concepts you're mixing together, you're mixing tools with the vendor. So AWS is the cloud service of Amazon, and the tool or one of the tools that do ETL inside of AWS is Glue, and some other tools that we use for ETL. In the context of Azure or Microsoft Cloud, you have different tools that do that can do ETL operations. So one of them is what we looked at today, which is Power Query, self-service. But if you want to really talk about some other Microsoft tools that do ETL operations, you have your something we call ADS, Azure Data Factory, something we call SSIS, SQL Server Integration Services. I mean, there are tons of tools that do ETL operations. So there are data flows Gen 2 that you use in your pipelines and all of that. In the context of learning Power BI, the ETL tool that we're going to be using is Power Query. Power Query, people use Power Query like maybe 30% of what it can actually do, because people are just always introduced to the GUI where you just click this command and click this command. But Power Query has a very, very powerful engine, the M engine, that you can write your M script and it can take scenarios where you don't have those operations, those ETL operations with the GUI. So you can script out an ETL operation inside of Power Query that will actually run every time your pipeline runs. So Talent is, you're correct. Talent is a vendor in the market that has an Talent is an ETL tool in the market. There's Snowpack, there's Google Cloud Data Flow, there's GCD. Different vendors have different tools for ETL. ETL again is just basically saying it's a data engineering workflow. So we use it in data engineering or a data engineering workflow where you're just moving data from point A to point B. So there are different tools that can help you achieve that. In the context of the vendor that you're talking about, if you're talking about Microsoft, you'll be talking about your SSIS, you'll be talking about your ADF, you'll be talking about your Power Query, you'll be talking about your data flows, both generation 1 and generation 2. There are tools inside of Synapse that will help you with ETL and all of that. So yeah, thank you,
Because
CJ.
in the real life situation, in
Mhm.
situation, we're going to be exposed to houses. So why I'm so particular about this is this: I want a situation where one can be exposed to any of those tools, so that you can actually extract and drop it in a warehouse. Then from the warehouse, you start, doing the thing that you want to do.
So
So how does the warehouse come in for us?
you need to come into the program. You need somebody to bring all these concepts together for you. You're mixing things up, which is normal because you're just sourcing information all by yourself. So you're mixing things
Okay.
up. Yeah. In the data warehouse is where you already have your facts and your dimensions. Your data warehouse is something we call you can, in Oracle context, you can hear something like Q. Not even in Oracle context, in BI concepts generally, you hear something like Q, or you hear data warehouses, or you hear things like OLAP. So sometimes you see OLAP Q, OLAP Q, or you hear data warehouse, or you hear data mart, MART. So in a data warehouse is where tables have already been modeled and prepared, ready for analysis. So somebody somewhere in the real world, different people do different things. That's why I said maybe you're mixing things up a bit, because the data engineers would drop the data in the data warehouse for the analytic engineers to pick up. The analytic engineers are the ones that will actually model this data to conform to answer business questions. It's not as if you cannot answer business questions with OLTP, what we call transactional databases that are not data warehouses, but they are highly normalized. Your product table will just be your product table. This one will just be so those tables are just separate. But in data warehouses, you have things like facts and dimensions. These tables would have been semi-joined already together in a way that makes sense. So you only have facts and dimensions. You will not have highly normalized tables. So as a BI professional, there's a concept we call normalization and denormalization. What are normalizations? What is denormalization? You will learn in your SQL too when you're learning, as a data warehouse person, as a BI developer, where should I stop normalizing? Should I keep it in things we call 1NF, 2NF, 3NF? So I don't want to confuse you again. In this day and age, the issue people always have is information overload and how to filter out the noise from and how to actually make sense of everything. So a Power BI developer will not use talent, because except your company wants to just give you work that is not your own, because talent is not inside Power BI workflow. The data engineering, self-service data engineering tool inside of Power BI is Power Query. A data warehouse is like an OLAP system. It's called an OLAP system or a queue. And in a data warehouse, you're just going to have facts, you're going to have dimensions, you're going to have things we call slowly changing dimensions, you're going to have bridge tables, you're going to have factless fact tables, you're going to have accumulating snapshots tables. All those concepts are data warehouse concepts, not a transactional system. So we don't report from transactional systems, we report from data warehouses in the real world. So that's where data warehouse comes into play. But Power BI is a self-service tool where people build what we call semantic models. So as a developer, you build a semantic model that people, staff in the organization, less techie people can connect to the model that you've built and they can create reports. But the model that you've built for them is analytic compliant. So it's something like a semantic version of a data warehouse. It's a data model when it's on your system, when it's on your local machine. When you publish to the service, to the Power BI cloud, it becomes what we call a Power BI data set. Then some other people can connect to that and on and on and on. So we can, I mean, yeah, I hope I'm able to answer some of your questions, if not all.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, so at this point, thank you, Samuel, for your time. We have
Thank you
to
so
round up because we have a class coming up right away, right?
Yes.
So I appreciate you all for your time. Like I said, we'll be having a cohort on this coming Saturday, 5th of August, right? And we have advantages. There are advantages when you come and learn from us, right? We have a practice worksheet, we have sample data set, business cases, gamification approach of learning. We also have capstone projects to help you build your portfolios. You also will benefit having a completion certificate from us. All our sessions are recorded and you can always have access to them. In our physical classes, we provide feeding. We also provide internship, meaning that after the entire program, there's still 2 months online internship, right? So we also give post-training support. We also reward performance as well as job reference. And every quarterly, we used to have our alumni meetup. Yes, where all the alumni of Scenario Academy will run a project with them and we'll showcase what they can benefit in the data space, right? So those are the advantages you will get from us as you join us in our program. So we have a class coming up this coming Saturday. And our program is such that they are more practical, and the one we are having this Saturday is a physical class. The cost is 150,000. So you can see it here. You will be trained on 3 tools. So to become a data analyst, start with these 3 tools, right? They are all Microsoft tools: Excel, SQL, and Power BI. So it's for 8 weekends, 9 o'clock to 5 p.m., right? So 9 o'clock to 5 p.m. So within 9 o'clock to 5 p.m., there'll be tea break and there'll be lunch, right? The price is 150,000 naira, which is a giveaway price. The benefits you will get is more than even the price, right? Because after the class, you see post training support, there is still the virtual training, the online how do I call it? The online internship and things like that that will help you. So we do not only train our people, we also stay with them and ensure that they become fully grounded. as a data analyst. So the price is 150,000 naira. But I'm going to run a promo from now till 2nd of August, which is Wednesday. So if you have 135, you can pay one payment of 135,000 naira. It's discounted for you right away, right? So after Wednesday, the normal price of 150. So we allow 2 payments, meaning that you can pay twice, but you must pay 100,000 first and balance the rest before the end of the program. So the program is 8 Saturdays. That's roughly 2 months, 8 Saturdays. So within the 8 Saturdays, you'll be trained on getting analytical skills on these tools. You can see that our instructor is seasoned, but he wants to give all he has, but there's no time. There's no time. And in our training, we do not rush. We take our time to explain things. We do not rush, but because we are about moving to another class now, and we will not want to delay this tester session. You understand? So that is why we have to cut it as it is. You can see him also rushing everything. That is not him. In our normal class, you have 8 hours to train. And for Power BI, it's 3 Saturdays, that's 24 hours. Practical, nothing theory. You'll be able to handle projects and the likes, right? So having said that, we also do online classes for those who are not. We have 2 branches here in Lagos. We have 2 in Ikeja here, right? We have at Amore Street, Toyin Street here. We also have at Olu, also very close to Toyin Street here, right? So we also do other programs like we also run the online one. The online one is for 75,000 naira. It's also the 3 programs. It's also for 8 weekends, but then it's from 4:30 to 7 o'clock, which is for 8 weekends, right? Instructor-led program, very interactive class. I'm going to have a session, but I would have loved if I could even pass 1 or 2 people to come. But whichever way, if you are still interested in the session, you can just mail us, training at Scenario, just to have a glimpse. You can see how interactive and informative the classes are. So we also have Python for data science and machine learning, right? And we also have this data warehousing where you use SSIS and the likes, right? Where that's more of a data engineer. So how do? You pull data from various sources, you aggregate them to a warehouse, and you automate your processes, right? You are sleeping, but everything is automated. That's data automation, right? So in Scenario Academy here, anything data, just talk about Scenario. We'll take you through the practical, you'll be able to achieve it, you'll be able to handle these tools and be able to transform data and do a lot of things in terms of reporting and visualization. We also have the weekday class, SQL and Power BI. It's discounted at 120,000, but it's for 7 days. There's an intensive class. Also have the likes of financial modeling and business valuation. Other courses are coming during business analytics and cybersecurity. All our courses are not theory. So whatever, if you want to gain value, please, cross Scenario. We take extra steps to ensure that, no, you get it, right? So when it comes to data analytics, even myself personally, I do give time to my students. Any of our students, okay, I'm coming. Any of our students, I give them time. Say, okay, after going through the class, how else after going through the program, do you need more work, more project, more? So we push content. Before the internship program, we push content to our students so that they will be able to have enough hands-on. And you understand? So we create time for our students. Sometimes, like for my students, I do tell them, please just chat me, don't call me because I'm engaged. I have a lot of projects with me. In the month of August, I have up to 7. And I might be presenting and you are calling. So I don't like that. So I said, just chat. Once you chat, I'll respond to you at any time. So thank you all for your time. But I have Chigoze and one other person asking a question. So please go ahead with your question right away. Hello?
Hello, sir. Please.
All right, please go ahead with your question.
Hi, good evening. I wanted
Yes,
to
good
ask
evening.
for the online classes. You mentioned earlier that for the physical classes you can pay in 2 installments. I wanted to find out, does it apply to the online classes as well?
And for the online, we allow because we allow one-time payment of 65,000. Sometimes we discount it. So we allow one-time payment of 65,000, or if you have to pay the 75,000, you have to pay 70% first, which is like 70, like 50 something thousand, then you balance the rest. So that's for the online, right?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So the beauty about this thing is that you have the classes recorded. You can always go back and revert to them. Then after the entire program, we still push contents to you. Why? Because you need to build your portfolios, right? We help you with how you get your resume and your LinkedIn profile optimized. So we push how sample CVs to you. And over time, we have been able to assist our students. Especially most of our students that traveled almost immediately after the courses, right? They ask for a reference letter, we give that. And sometimes some project, they're handling some project, what can I do here, this. We are always available to stay with them, right? So Chigozie, you can go ahead with your question. I'm about to end this session. I appreciate you all for your time.
All right, sorry, Mr. Sokwe. So we have
Yes,
a staff in the meeting from Standing Bank because Scenario Academy has
okay.
right, thank you. You can take it up.
All right. So apologies. We have a staff from Sterling Bank, form of partnership with Scenario Academic. So they have an offer for you. So please just listen to her as she presents that. Thank you.
Okay, I think you are muted, Mr. Yemisi, in case you are talking. You are muted.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot for the session. I've been in from the beginning, had some little network issues, and then I go back in. It's really an engaging session, and then I think I like the teaser. But I just want to speak about our partnership in Sterling Bank with Scenario Academy. I work as a partnership officer for the art sectors. Basically, that represents health, education, agriculture, renewable energy, transport. And Scenario Academy happens to fall under the education sector. And at Sterling Bank, we've been doing a lot in these spaces, basically for organizations that are tech-enabled, it's nice that Scenario Academy has this dynamics where you can, attend physical classes or also attend these classes online. It's a very beautiful one. So we partnered with Scenario Academy to make sure that these courses they offer is available to everyone. And what we are doing basically is that we partner with Scenario to say, okay, give a discount to your students, maybe 5%, 10%, 7% discount, depending on what you choose. And then we will pay on behalf of these students, and the students can pay us back monthly. So maybe the program is for 3-4 months, and then assuming the cost is 200,000 naira, we can help you pay for this course at once, and then you can spread paying it back to us for a period of 12 months. Now, this offer is available to students that are working and also, to students that are still under their guidance. Basically, it means your parents can make this payment or take this, it's like a loan offer, take this education loan on your behalf, and then we would automatically deduct this repayments from their accounts monthly. So it's a partnership that ensures that all the parties involved in the arrangement benefit. So Sterling Bank will give out the money, Scenario Academy, will receive payments, and then they will provide this learning. Then also the students, you're learning at a discount, and then you're also able to learn at the time that you choose. So there are instances where someone is interested in taking a course, but then because of funding, you're postponing it. So what we are saying is that you don't need to postpone this opportunity. You can just come to us, and then we'll make funds available for you to take these courses. Then you can pay it back over a period of 12 months. So we have a platform, we call it EduBank. That's EDUBANC. Let me try to see if I can share my screen.
All right, thank you, Oluwayemisi. Thank you for your time.
No, sorry. So,
any question for you? Okay.
Sorry, I was trying to share my screen, but then
okay,
I can't right now. So let me just quickly speak to it. So you can actually speak with maybe Omoye. She's aware, and she can take you through the steps. But it's just to ensure that Nigerians are able to get the skill sets that they want. I myself, I'm going to be a student of Scenario. I want to learn financial modeling. I've taken courses on data science in the past, but financial modeling is something I'm looking forward to taking. So, we have this opportunity, and then I hope that we take it. It's very flexible and affordable for everyone. Thank you. So I can take questions if we have any.
All right, if you have any questions as regards Sterling Bank helping in your payment, you can ask CMC right away, please.
Good afternoon. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, good afternoon.
All right, my question. I just wanted to know, is this offer just for students or anybody can apply?
For anybody. So we have an algorithm on our system that tries to confirm eligibility. So basically what that means is that after you've applied, we would ask you to provide us an account number of one of the accounts you use the most, and then our systems will run checks to see if the funds coming into that account over maybe the last 6 months to 1 year can guarantee you being able to repay us. Once that is done, then yes, we'll just make these funds available to your own account first, and then within 24 to 48 hours, we'll pay into Scenario Academy and then let them know. Then you can start taking the classes. So it's available to everyone that is eligible.
Right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, my hand is also up, but I guess I should just go on and speak. This is Isoa. Okay, so my question is, first, when you introduced the offer, you didn't really speak, you were not really big on the interest rates. I want to imagine that for a financial service provider, there will be some form of interest rate attached to this offer that you are giving us. So maybe perhaps you can explain that. And also, second question here is it all category of courses that this facility is available for? Like the beginner, I don't know, it wasn't called beginner course, but I would just put it that way in my mind. The one that's the price is 75,000. Is that course covered in your the loan products that you're offering us? Second question, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So about the interest rate, sorry, I missed it out. It's around 26%, but it's not like you're paying us 26% interest directly, because we have negotiated for an discount. I mean, on your behalf, Scenario Academy is giving you an discount, maybe like a 10% discount already. So at the end of the day, it means when you're supposed to pay a 26%, you end up paying a 16%, which is fair. At some point I mentioned that, this arrangement is to ensure that all the participants are winners. We are winning. Scenario Academy is winning. Also, our students that end up taking this loan offer, they are also winning. So as regards the courses, Scenario Academy is able to set up the courses that they deem fit, for this loan offers, and I want to believe that most of their courses are available. So all you just need to do is to go to edubank.com, that's edubanc.com. You register. Once you register, you can search for Scenario Academy, and then the list of all these courses are available there. Then when you want to apply, if you have a Sterling account, you can impute it, can apply with it. If you don't have, you open an account online there, and then afterwards you select your course, and then we will make this payment to your account first before moving to Scenario Academy. When the payment is made into your account, you can't access it because it will be written there that it is for this program with Scenario Academy. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Right, thank you. Chijioke, is your hand up? All right, thanks everyone. If there are no further questions for me, thank you so much. So my name is Oluwayemi Silewu. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have more questions, I'm always available to answer. And then you can also reach out to Scenario Academy, for more guidance. But I am the partnership officer involved, and I'm always available to make sure that this relationship works. Thanks a lot. Handing over back to the host. Thanks, Scenario Academy.
All right, thank you, everyone. And thank you, MEC. So we hope to hear from you soon. So be rest assured that the link to the recordings will be forwarded to your mail so that you can access it. So on behalf of Scenario Academy, I want to appreciate you for giving us, for your time, for the time you have spent with us. And we look up to seeing you on board very soon. Thank you and enjoy your weekend. Bye.